Oh, hey, maybe it did work. Are we live? That is very interesting because lots of people have had trouble going live today on Facebook. And earlier this morning, I tried going live on Facebook and Instagram, and it didn't work. So I guess whatever the issue was has been sorted out. How exciting! Welcome, welcome. My name's Lisa Westgate, creator and founder of the Misfit Hub, which is where you have landed. Maybe you don't know how you found yourself here, but that's where you are. That's great. I was not sure if we were gonna be able to have our chat today. Hi Marie. Good. I am live. It's working. It must be working because I can see you. You can see me. Hopefully you can hear me. So that's all good. That's the way we want it to be. Excellent. Wonderful. So I just want to say, first of all, a huge welcome to all of our new members. We've got, I think, a new, roughly around about 10 new group members this week into the Misfit Hub. So welcome. It's wonderful to have you here. We hope that you find this community a space where you can learn about all things professional development. Excuse me, I'm still unwell. Personal development, personal evolution, personal growth is what I meant to say. And I am going to switch a couple of things off so they don't make noise because I am very easily distracted. For anyone that's ever met me. Ooh, shiny. So I'm going to turn off a few things. Can you share this live? It's an excellent question, Alicia. You can't share the live outside of the group. What you can do is you are welcome to invite people into the group. You just go to the top of the page to the invite link and you can share, you can invite directly, or you can copy the link to the group and you can share it with people and invite them to come and join. And then once they're in, you can tag them here in the comments to bring attention to the lives or the recorded lives in the guide section that you think will be of value to them. So you could do it that way. But Facebook won't let you share group content outside of Facebook. You can share it live, I think, directly in Messenger with someone, but they will have to become a group member to actually view it. So I hope that answers that question. Excellent question. Just a reminder that you can still do it now. You should be able to go to the 3 dots and go copy link and send it, and they could still jump on while I'm live. What else was I going to say? Yes, a reminder that if you are finding this group, this community really helpful, if there's content that you do want to share that you're like, oh, my friend really needs to, or family member really needs to watch one of Lisa's videos, you are more than welcome to invite people to join us in the Misfit Hub. If you feel that they'll resonate with what we're on about, they're definitely okay with swearing because I have a potty mouth. But yeah, you are welcome to invite people to join the Misfit Hub as well. And then, like I said to Alicia, you can tag them directly into the comments of videos or posts that you feel that would be valuable for them. You are more than welcome to do that, right? The more the merrier. I wanted to say a big apology for last week. We had a bit of a technical glitch and an event wasn't created, which means that maybe you guys didn't know that I did actually go live last week. It was very quiet and I was suspicious, and I was like, what's going on? I normally have more interaction here, what's happening, and then realized that you possibly did not get an alert to say that I was live last week. The topic last week was a word that I recommend you cease saying immediately and you take it out of your vocabulary and you stop saying it, because very rarely does anything good come from that particular word. So if you missed last week's live because, excuse me, you didn't get a notification because we forgot to create an event, because we're human beings, then definitely go back. I'm pretty sure it's still at the top in the featured section. And if it's not in the guides, it will be uploaded to the guides soon. So yes, apologies for last week's technical glitchiness. And if you missed it, I did go live and it was really good and you should definitely go back and watch it. So this week, thank you for joining, and remember to say hi in the comments like some of you have. So hello to Marie, hello to Alicia, wonderful to have you on. Alicia, welcome to the group. Marie's a great person to have on here because she's been, feels like been around forever. I think potentially since the group started over 12 months ago. And Alicia is brand new to the group. So I'm sure you can, share some words of wisdom. Alicia, you can ask some questions. And Marie probably knows all the answers that I'd tell you anyway. Excellent. So today we are talking about what comes next. So those of you that have been around for a little while would know that one of the things that I offer in this group and that you'll hear me talk about is a 90-day program. So a 90-day program is one of the ways that the primary way that you can work with me more closely is becoming one of my clients, and we do that within a container that we refer to as a 90-day program, which is 90 days to give zero fucks, right? And it's called 90 days to give zero fucks because I am of the belief that there are lots of us out there just handing out fucks, right? We give a fuck what this person thinks, we give a fuck what this person thinks. Again, you've had a language warning today, and the problem with that is that we're trying to please all of the people all of the time. And when you become who you think you need to become for your parents, for your high school boyfriend or girlfriend, and for your partner, and for your kids, and for your workplace, and for your boss, and for your colleagues, and you're all these people for all these other people. And what can happen is we kind of lose ourselves. We lose connection to ourselves because we're being what we need to be for everybody. And we can often get to a point where we've been doling out all these fucks about what everybody thinks, and we don't really know, we haven't saved any for ourselves, right? We don't really know who we are if we're not being a mum, or we're not being an employee, or we're not being the boss, or we're not being the perfect son or daughter, or we're not being the perfect sister or brother, or we're not being the perfect sibling or child or employee or staff member or parent. And outside of those roles and those jobs that we have, we kind of don't know who the hell we are, right? So we don't know what we like doing. And so that could cause issues, kind of least of which as an example would be when you see those messages for, we should all be doing self-care, right? Who's hands up in the comments if you've heard or seen messages about increasing your self-care, making time for self-care, right? We all have to look after ourselves and do self-care. When you don't know who you are and what you like or what makes you uncomfortable, for example, you may not know what self-care is, right? For you. So you might try stuff on, right? So self-care, sometimes getting a massage is something that people do for self-care, for example, right? I have a lot of physical stuff going on in terms of illnesses, right? So I've had fibromyalgia in the past. My body still bruises easily, right? There's some physical autoimmune stuff going on. what that means is when I get a massage, it is usually incredibly painful. It's actually really excruciatingly painful. I have cried many, many times on a massage table getting my muscles worked on because of the tension in my body, the inability to release. My body doesn't like to release that tension for other, various reasons. It's holding on to it. And so for me, getting a massage is necessary for my functionality, and it helps me move and it helps me do the things that I want to do in my life. But it's not pleasant, it's not comfortable, it's not pain-free, and I've really had to stop thinking of it as a self-care process, right? Because I'm not any more relaxed at the end than when I started, because it's been such a painful process for me. So this idea that like, oh, you need to do some self-care, you should go get a massage. I'm like, well, yeah, I get the intention, but for me, that is not a good thing to put in my little self-care basket, right? Spending time alone is really good for my self-care, right? That's how I can self-care, is to be by myself, to allocate time to myself, for myself, by myself. Now, do I do that often enough? No, I do not. And heads up for next week, there's a good possibility that I'm either going to do a spontaneous live at this time next week, or I will send you guys a recording to watch, because I need to take some time for my self-care. So spoilers, I might not be live next week, because it's really important for me also to do what comes next. And so that's what I wanted to talk to you about today, is the 90-day program is really for people that have come to this conclusion that they don't know who they are when they're not being something. They're not being a mum, or they're not being a worker. And outside of that, they're like, actually, I have no idea who I am, or what I could do for self-care, or what I like, or how I want to spend my time, right? Because we've lost touch with ourselves because we're doing everything for everybody else. That's fundamentally that redefinition of identity, that reconnection to self. That is fundamentally what the 90 Days to Zero Fucks program is about, and who it's for, and what it helps with. If you have any questions about that, drop them in the comments right now, because Marie is well into that process, and I'm just going to dob on her to answer those. Or you can reach out to me, of course, and we can have a chat about what that would look like for you. I also understand that for some of you, you're aware of that. You've heard me talk about that program. You've seen posts about it in the last few weeks. And you might be contemplating, yeah, okay, cool. I get that we do that for 90 days when I work with Lisa, and that's awesome. And then what comes next? What is the next thing? So 90 days, is a quarter of the year. What happens then? What do we do next? What comes after the 90 days? And I'm a very big picture thinker. Like, I like to have a big map of the world, or I like to have like the overview of like, how does all this work? So I completely appreciate that for some of you, you're like, well, I kind of get what happens during the 90 days, and there's classes and there's modules to work through, and sure, but I need the bigger picture. What comes next? What happens after that? And so that's what I wanted to talk to you about today. So there's a couple of elements to this. I'm just going to have a little sip of water. And I'm here live, right? I'm here, I'm present. So if you have any questions about what I'm talking about, or you want clarification, just drop it into the comments. Let me know. Okay. So what comes next? The process of the 90-day program ultimately allows you to discover yourself, reconnect with your true self, reveal the uniqueness that is you, because you're not like anybody else, and then take that uniqueness out into the world. What comes next from that point, that end of that 90-day point for you, is almost pure possibility. It is just opportunities. Opportunities for you to then explore who you are now that you know who you are truly, in different environments, in different settings. You gain clarity through the process as well of what you think you might want to do next. Where do you want to go? What do you want to do with your career? The relationships that are around you. There is what we call an embodiment process that has to happen next. So what we typically find is people get to the end of the 90-day program. They're like, oh my God, I understand myself so much better. I make more sense. Turns out I really like myself. I hear that a lot. Oh my God, I'm actually pretty awesome. I'm like, shit, yeah, of course you're awesome. You're amazing, right? Which always cracks me up because I can see that right at the beginning, right? But you've got to come back to yourselves to discover that. And I love that. And it's such a beautiful thing to be able to bear witness for my clients, is they sort of come to this realization. They're like, I'm pretty amazing. I'm like, yeah, I know. I've known that the whole time. But they're like, it's new to them, right? Because it's so different when you're reflecting. It's so different when you're examining yourself compared to you. Know, it's always easier to see the magic in other people before we see the magic in ourselves. So I love that. And then so they sort of, come to this point where they realize, oh my God, I'm pretty amazing and I'm an awesome person. I'm like, yeah, totally you are. And they also gain clarity about what's next for them through the process. So for some people, they come through this learning and this reconnection to self, and they realize that this searching that they've gone on, this searching for, like, I need another course, I need another program, I need to know more information, is actually, they don't need that. And what they need is, what they've realized is that right where they are and just who they are right now, it's actually perfect. I'll tell you a story of a beautiful client that came through the program, Kate. You may have heard me talk about her before. And she came to me. She was doing her yoga teacher training. She's amazing. She's got some kids. She's got a partner. They were trying to, moving house, all sorts of stuff going on. And she was making plans for, like, courses that she was going to do. And then after I do that, I'm going to do this course, and thinking about starting a business and all sorts of stuff. And ultimately what she was looking for was a level of fulfillment that she was trying to get from, doing these programs and doing these courses and getting certified in something else. And she actually initially reached out to me, I'm pretty sure, for doing her NLP certification with me. And what she ended up realizing through the program and by the end was that her life was really great. And her life was actually exactly what she had wanted. So if she looked back and thought about, what she wanted when she was a kid or a teenager, and she was like, oh, what do I want when I want to be a grown-up? She wanted to be married to a kind man. She wanted to have some beautiful children, and she wanted to be able to be at home with those kids and support their growth and their learning, and be present as a mother. And that's who she is. And so her kind of awakening and return to self was that the fulfillment that she had been looking for in those courses and those programs and certifications, she actually had within her the whole time. Excuse me. But she hadn't realized it. And that's a beautiful realization to come to, right? That's a beautiful space to come to recognize, oh, I'm here. That place that I thought I would arrive at, I'm here and I'm living it and I'm doing it and just being immensely joyful and grateful for the life that she leads now. And so for her, that was Kate's realization through that exploratory process, that for her, it wasn't about another certification or gaining more knowledge. It was actually a recognition that she has everything that she kind of always wanted. And she's just going to sit in that for a bit. And that doesn't preclude her from further study or further, further information or further qualification in anything. She can, of course, do that. But she's going to do that from a place of inner fulfillment. She's going to do that from a place of it's now going to be a choice coming from a different energy rather than I need to do this to be complete. I need to do this to be fulfilled. She's already complete and she's already fulfilled. And from that point, she may very well choose to do some further learning or qualification in something or start a business. So let me know if this is resonating. Let me know if this is making sense. Ultimately, what comes next is very dependent on the individual. But possibility, opportunity, the world opening up in a way that allows you to interact with that world from a place much closer to wholeness and completeness rather than a need to fulfill something or do something, or when I get this, then I'll be happy, or when I do that qualification, then I will be validated, or then I'll know enough, then I can then I can start a business or share my wisdom after I get another piece of paper, right? Yeah, I love it. Oh, that's good. So yeah, not a surprise. It's setting off a whole lot of ping, ping, ping. That happens a lot. That's great. So thank you for sharing that, Alicia. I'm glad that it's sort of stimulating thoughts. So what comes next after the program for each individual is obviously up to the individual. It's a world of possibility. It's a world of opportunity. It's a world of choice and options based on not necessarily fulfilling old programming about not being enough or, not being very smart or, needing to prove yourself, and a whole lot of stuff that people, we all as human beings have our collection of baggage that we drag through life. So having gone through the program and the process and letting that go then allows each individual to come from quite a different place and look out into the world as full of options, full of opportunities. Now, for some, it's about just sitting in their moment of complete inner peace and going, you know what, I've actually done a lot of the things I wanted to do in my life and I'm freaking nailing it, and I'm just going to sit here in this and bask in this for a little bit, like it was for Kate. For some, it brings clarity around the next process, around this is amazing, that idea that I had, I'm going to start that business. I'm going to do that. I can create it. That's the pathway that some people have gone down. Some people have chosen to, after working with me, have chosen to embark on some training and qualification around coaching and healing and doing similar work. I guess what they perceive to be similar work to what I do, but in a space that they're passionate about. What else? That's what I mean, right? There's endless possibilities because it's different for each person and the conclusions that they come to. In terms of support, And I guess to answer the question of what comes next in terms of a professional relationship with me, after doing the 90-day program, there is an opportunity to move into an ongoing mastermind program with me, which just involves a weekly Zoom where basically I'm your coach, I'm your mentor, I become available for you to use as a resource um, on a weekly session via Zoom, and we all get together once a week and you bring what is going on with you in your world, and whether that's about, I need help deciding, do I study or do I start a business, or do I move house, or do I end a relationship, do I start a relationship, whatever is going on in your world, because you know the whole thing keeps spinning, the world continues, life keeps throwing shit at us, there's always going to be new stuff and more stuff. So there is an ongoing opportunity for, I guess, coaching support beyond the 90-day program. It's a lot less structured, so there's not modules to work through or anything like that. It's just a meeting, a collective meeting of minds, and utilizing me as a resource in an ongoing capacity. So in terms of personal development and growth, it's not like at the end of the 90 days, you get booted out of my life and I, block and delete you and see you later and I never speak to you again. That's not the case. We could definitely, stay connected in each other's circles and maintain that support and connection. Um, you want that one? You want to go? Am I reading that you want to go straight to the mastermind? It's definitely a possibility. It's a potential possibility. To just directly join that, but I think very much so. Excellent. I love that. That's awesome. Um, I do so there is that opportunity within the 90-day program, just to give you some insight into the structure for those of you who aren't aware of it. Yes, there is, so it's what we call a blended delivery. So there is some online component which is self-paced, where there's modules and videos and workbooks to download and work through. Plus there is also a client only space where all the program participants have their online classes. And so currently there is a live on a Monday morning in there from myself. We do have the beautiful Nettie Smith, who, if you go back and you look at previous lives in this group, you'll see me do an interview with Nettie, maybe a month ago, 4 weeks ago. Nettie does a class for our program clients once a week, a spiritual mentoring class. So as you'll see in the video, if you go back and watch it, Nettie is intuitive. She utilizes, I always get the wrong side. There we go. She utilizes oracle cards and tarot cards and that sort of stuff. And so she does that on a Wednesday evening, our time. There is a spiritual mentoring class, which could potentially be Thursday morning if you're in the US, I think. And then on Friday there is a coaching session. There is what we call a deep transformational workshop opportunity, where any program member is welcome to jump in and let me know how they're going with the module content, what's going on in their lives, get some live coaching, get some feedback, get some advice, that sort of stuff. So that all happens within that 90-day container in the program to give zero fucks. So yes, there's online modules and all that sort of stuff, and that's part of the content. It's about 50%, and 50% is delivered in the client only space, where you get me, you get Nettie, you get those classes. So it's for me, I really feel that's where the powerful shifts lie, is in those interactive classes with myself and Nettie in the group. That's where I really feel there is opportunity to have powerful shifts in moving away from old thinking and moving into new spaces where possibility opens up. FYI, if you're interested in having a chat with me about the program, I can get into more details. We can talk about what you would be looking to get from it. So where you are now, where you'd like to be, and what that pathway would look like for you. Just pop 90 in the comments. If you're watching this on replay, I know a few people have reached out and asked for the replay, so just pop in hashtag replay so I know, and then the number 90, just put 90, and then I know that's my little signal thing, little flag that pops up, so that I know to reach out to on Messenger, and we can schedule a time to have a bit more of an in-depth chat about your individual circumstances and how that would look like for you. So yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted to come and talk about today. Was like people asking, well, what comes next? What happens after the 90 days? So yes, there is an opportunity to work with me past the 90 days, in sort of the next container along. And what's more interesting to me is what happens for each person at the end of the 90 days and what comes next for them. And that is just this opening up of the world and possibilities and opportunities to go, right, now that I'm not carrying around that baggage, now that I know who I am in my core, where can I go with that now, right? What can I do in the world? How do I want to do what's important for me? And for some people, the questions are like, how do I help others, right? If that's one of your values, is to be of service to others, then that might be the question you ask at the end. How can I make the most of this beautiful space I'm in right now? That might be the question you ask yourself at the end of the 90 days. So it is just possibility and opportunity for me. After I went through that process, I realized through that I was kind of obsessed with growth. Hence I have a business. The umbrella company here is called Spiral Evolution Academy, right? Because for me, it's about continuing to spiral up and continuing to evolve and continuing to grow. Because if I'm not doing growth on some level, a bit like a plant, sometimes it's the roots and you can't see the work I'm doing, and sometimes it's the leaves and the blossoms, and you can see the work I'm doing, but there's always a level of growth. And much like a plant, for me, my value system, and what's important to me is if I'm not growing, then I'm kind of, if a plant doesn't grow, it's probably dead, right? Like you give it a bit of extra water, you're like, is this thing still, right? It stopped growing. That's a problem. So I'm a bit like that. I'm a bit like a plant that if I stop growing, then I'm probably dead. So yeah, if all of this interests you, you want to have a chat with me about that 90-day container. Yeah, exactly. So I was so on the same page. Yes. Alicia says, always need to be something improving, internal or external. Same. Yeah. It's not even always, just to, pick a point. Like it's not always improving. Sometimes it's just a self-examination. Sometimes the benefit is in the reflection, that, may not arbitrarily be improving, right? Because our growth is not like this. Our growth is like this. Right? So we go through these periods of growth which definitely feel like, a downward shift. They definitely feel like we're having a rough time. But it's part of that overall kind of trajectory, but it doesn't always feel like that, right? And Marie will tell you, if she's still on here, she will tell you that there are absolutely periods within that where you feel like you're going backwards and you feel like you're failing and you're going through these really difficult challenges. And it's important to understand that it's all part of it. But sometimes it really doesn't feel like you're improving. Sometimes it doesn't feel like you're making progress. Sometimes it feels like shit. But it is part of that evolutionary process for each individual. And it's temporary. Like with every dip, there's an up coming next, right? That is the way nature works. When there's a down, there's going to be an up. As long as you don't quit in the down, right? As long as you keep going, the next after a dip is an up. Absolutely, says Marie. Yeah, she's just come through this amazing, challenging period and learnt so much about her own inner strength and her own ability to handle challenge, because she made her way through that. And that's part of what it is. Like, yes, it's the content, yes, it's the classes and all of that, but really, even within all of that, this is about learning about yourself. And so sometimes it's not the stuff that you're working on, it's how are you dealing with the stuff? How are you taking on challenge? How are you managing things that can be confrontational? We say in coaching, and particularly in NLP, the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. If you're the sort of person that goes, oh no, when things get too hard, I quit, I walk away, it's too much, I'm going to put it down. If you're that person in one area of your life, then you are that person in all areas of your life. And that will show up in the program, in the course, right? It certainly is confronting. It is. And to be honest, I know it has been challenging. That's why I'm here. That's why we have the container to support our clients through that, because we know this. And the reason I know this is because I did it, right? So this 90-day program is fundamentally modeled off what I spent 18 months going through after my diagnosis of PTSD, anxiety, and depression. This is the process I went through to heal. The self-examination, the snot crying on the shower floor, the getting furious, absolutely furious at parts of myself that I hated. And so I know how confronting, I know how challenging, I know how fucking hard some of these pieces are. And that's why I'm there to hold that space, to be present. I show up every Friday morning and I facilitate that deep transformational workshop. And that is the space to, share the challenge and break down and go, I don't fucking know what I'm doing, right? And that's okay, right? That's why you're not doing this alone. That's why this program is not, oh yeah, go and watch the videos and the content, and you get access to it and see you later. You get nothing of me, right? That's why it's a blended delivery. That's why we have a client-only container, because I get it, because I've been there and I know that it's really tough in places. And I also know that it's absolutely fucking worth it. And those parts that are most confronting and most challenging, that when you come back through, that's where the empowerment lies, right? That's where your empowerment lies, is when you go, I just did a thing that I didn't think I could do. I didn't think I could do that. I thought it was going to beat me. It was really hard. But you know what? I fucking did it. All right? That is empowering. That is confidence. That will help you next time you come across a challenge in the program, outside the program, in your life in general. You're like, hang on a minute. I've already done hard things. I can do hard things. I've done it before. I can do it again. That's the growth that occurs through this program. It's not just, what's on the video. It's not just what's in a workbook, right? It's what you learn about yourself along the way. That is the real gold. I get passionate about it. Can you tell? Right? I love it because I honestly think it is such an incredible opportunity to grow and to learn about yourself and to strengthen your your confidence in yourself. Know who you are. Know that you can handle whatever comes at you. Know that you can't be fucking beaten. Know that you won't be broken. Right? To know that because you've done it, that is a level of empowerment I wish for everybody. Which is why I made it. Right? And why I provide the opportunity and the support and the safety. So I know I got really excited about it then. I get very passionate about it. And I'm super massive shout out to Marie. She has been an absolute bloody champion. She certainly has found elements of this challenging and confronting. And if Jane was on, she would say the same thing. And if Kim was on, she would say the same thing. That's what it is, right? But that's the doing the work, yeah. Alicia, me, has challenge, has complete breakdown, comes back, repeat like swimming in jello. I say the progress is slow, but it exists. Slow progress counts as progress. It all counts, right? We talk about dancing. I talk about the dance all the time, right? If you're doing the tango or you're dancing and there's forward steps and there's backward steps, but it's all part of the dance of life, right? It's not all forwards, right? Sometimes you got to go backwards. Oh my God, I'm going a lot of backwards. Oh, and we do a big leap forwards, right? You may have heard me use the metaphor of the arrow, right? To shoot an arrow, first you have to draw back, right? The arrow must move backwards before it can take off and shoot forwards. So sometimes, every time in life, in business, I feel like I'm going backwards, I know that there is a big leap coming because it's just the arrow coming back. And as soon as that is ready to release and the backwards is finished, there'll be another big leap in my life, in my business, in my parenting, all sorts of, spaces in which that happens. So understanding that this is not like linear, that it looks like this. Understanding that sometimes there's backward steps in the dance, that the arrow must come back before it shoots forward. It's all part of it. It's okay to have doona days. It's okay to have, I don't want to get out of bed days. It's okay. It's okay, right? It's all part of it. It's all part of the growth and the transformation and that spiral evolution up. I got really passionate today, and that's why we've gone a little bit long. Thank you for everybody who has commented live. If you're watching the replay, please put #replay so I know that you dropped in and you have seen this training. If you wanted to have a bit more of a one-to-one chat about the program, how it could work for you, what your next might look like, then please put 90 in the comments. Like a 90 or the word 90, whatever you prefer. And I will reach out to you on Messenger and we will have a bit more of an in-depth chat about where you're at, where you'd like to be, what sorts of things are going on for you, and really how come you're not there yet, right? Because what's getting in the way? What are the obstacles? What are those challenges that can give us so much information about where the work needs to be done? It's been such a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope that you found this valuable, insightful, inspirational, exciting. I got really excited, so I talk fast and flap my hands around more because neurospicy. I love all of you and I look forward to having a chat with you about how the end of 2022 could look for you and how you could kick off 2023 in a totally different space with a totally different attitude rather than riding that old patterns over and over again for another year, right? So if you don't want to do that for another year and you want 2023 to be different, then put 90 in the comments. I will reach out to you on Messenger and we will have a proper chat about where you're at, where you're headed, and what's getting in your way and how we can overcome that. You're dead right. It's definitely a roller coaster ride. Absolutely is. Absolutely. And I hate roller coasters, but even at the end of one, I'm like, whoa, that was a ride, right? I might not always be like, not always excited for it at the start, but at the end, wow, bit quiet for me today. Yeah, that's it, right? And we're allowed those quiet days to balance these out, right? Have a quiet day, have a quiet couple of days, and honor how you're feeling, and then move through it and move on to what comes next, right? You'll hear me talk a lot about the 80-20 rule in this group, all right? I talk about 80-20. It's kind of one of my life philosophies. If 80% of the time you can, be on and make great decisions and choose healthy foods and whatever, and 20% you're eating KFC, so be it. 80% of the time you're moving your body, doing some sort of, exercise or something structured or not, and 20% you're on the couch eating Tim Tams, you're fucking winning. If you're 80% motivated, 20% of the time demotivated, so be it, right? We're human beings. We're not robots. We're not designed to be go, 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 on. Yeah, I'm smashing it, right? 100% of the time. We just can't do it. So I run by an 80-20 rule. I aim for an 80-20 rule in pretty much every aspect of my life. And if it resonates with you, you are welcome to adopt the 80-20. So have your 20% days, my darling. Be kind to yourself in those 20% days. Don't beat yourself up for having them, all right? Otherwise, it defeats the purpose. So be respectful of yourself. Be kind to yourself. I'm doing what my body and my mind need me to do right now, and honor that, genuinely honor that. And then, yeah, excellent, cool. I will have a chat with you. I'll reach out to you, Alicia. That's awesome. Excited to speak with you again. And then know that those 20% days they'll have their time, they will have been honored, and you can move forward and get back into the 80%, right? Over a week, over a month, over a year, right? It is what it is. Excellent. I'm glad you like that idea. You can have that idea. Be kind to yourself in your 20% moments, because you deserve them. You are valuable. You are loved. You are lovable. You are safe. I adore every single one of you, and I am so grateful that you are in this space with me. Much love, and I will talk to you very, very soon. You're very welcome, Marie, and thank you for always making the time to jump on these more often than not. Take care, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.